Hey, sixth grade. Today we're going to complete lesson 7-8, connecting equations, tables, and graphs. I'm going to say goodbye for now, so you're going to see my screen for the rest of the lesson. You will be able to represent a growing pattern using numbers, symbols, words, and graphs, and make connections between the representations. And today you'll know you've got it when you can successfully graph points for a given pattern. So what I need you to do right now is to get out a piece of scratch paper and a pencil. We're going to do some mental math and fluency. For today's mental math and fluency, we're going to be mentally calculating products. So we're going to be multiplying these numbers together. The first one I would like you to try is 15 times 3. So you can pause the video and turn it back on when you have an answer. Welcome back. So if you know anything about a clock, you know that the clock is broken up into 4 15-minute sections. And 3 of those sections, which are each 15 minutes, comes out to be 45 minutes. That's one way to solve it. Another way is you could use the distributive property. So break that 15 up into more manageable numbers. So you could do 3 times the quantity of 10 plus 5. Okay, and I'm going to come over here and draw those rainbow marks for you that help me remember that I need to multiply that 3 by everything inside of my parentheses. Okay, so from here, I know that 3 times 10 is 30, and 3 times 5 is 15. So when I add those two numbers up, I'm going to get 45. Great. The next one I would like you to try is 25 times 12. So go ahead and pause the video and then come back when you have an answer. Okay, from here, you can break 12 up into 10 plus 2. It might be a little bit easier for you to multiply that way. So again, using the distributive property, I'm going to do 25 times 10 and 25 times 2. Okay, so I know that 25 times 10 gives me 250. All I have to do is add a 0. And 25 times 2 gives me 50. And when you add those two numbers up, you come up with 300. I'd like you to try this one last. 75 times 4. Okay, welcome back. From here, it might be easiest to break the 75 up into 70 plus 5. So we're going to do 4 times the quantity of 70 plus 5. Okay, and we're going to draw those rainbow marks to help us remember to multiply by everything inside of our parentheses. And I know that 7 times 4 is 28, so 70 times 4 is going to give me 280. And I know that 4 times 5 gives me 20. So when I add those two numbers up, I should come up with 300 also for the third question. What I'd like you to take out now is your journal, Volume 2 Everyday Math Journal. I want you to open up to page 331, please, for our math message. For our math message today, you'll see number 1A says use square pattern blocks to build the first 3 steps for the pattern below. You'll see we have step 1 with 1 block or 1 square, step 2 with 2 squares, and step 3 with 3 squares. For B, it says in the space below, sketch step 4 and step 5 of the sequence. So you're going to use that space in your journal to draw what step 4 would look like, considering the pattern that you have for step 1, 2, and 3, and then also what step 5 looks like. For 2A, it says complete the table and write an equation to represent the rule. So looking at the table, you'll see that we're focusing on the step number, x. So we have 1, 2, 3, and then you also have 4 and 5 in front of you at the top of that page. And we're going to be focusing on perimeters. So how many side lengths make up the outside of that square or of that figure? Pay attention to when you combine the 2 squares for the second step and for the 3 squares for the third step, we lose that connection right there as part of our perimeter. So you might think, oh, it's going to be 4 times 2. But when you look at this, it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you actually are losing 2 side lengths in step 2. So that's why you'll see down here that your perimeter is 6 units. So they want you to come up with a rule. And then B says use substitution for one of the step values to show that your rule works for that step. So go ahead and pause the video, come back after you have number 1 and 2 completed up to that blue line, and I'll go over the correct response with you there. P.S. Before we move on to answers, please make sure that you're focusing on what happens from your X column to get to your Y column. So what are we doing to X to get that value of y. Remember, this is considered an input-output table in previous grades. We're going to start calling it a function table in 6th grade. So what happens to the x value in order to get the y value? Even better time to pause. Okay, so you're back for your correct response for our math message. You'll see step 4 has 4 blocks that are connected, perfect squares, and step 5 has 5 blocks that are connected. Okay, so when I look down at number 2, when I'm writing that rule, you'll see that they have 2 times x plus 2 equals y. Well, what does that mean? It means that I'm taking 2 times this x value, so 2 times 1 is 2, and then I'm adding 2 to get the 4. Okay, for the next one, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 2 gives me 6. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 gives me 8, so you should have put an 8 in your table there. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 gives you 10. And 5 times 2 plus 2 gives you 12. So from here, you had to use substitution. For one of those values, either relationship between x and y would work there for your substitution. So remember, when we're substituting a value in for a variable, we always want to use parentheses to show that. Also, bonus points to you up here if you wrote that as 2x instead of 2 times x. You know how much that bugs me. All right, getting you ready for middle school, you should be writing that as a coefficient and a variable, 2x. Below that blue line, number 3 says use the values in the table from problem 2 as the x and y coordinates for the points. So you're simply going to take what you got for x and y in that table above that blue line, and you're going to turn them into a list of coordinates. So x, y, so that you can go ahead and graph them later. B says graph the points on the coordinate grid. Okay. Number 4 says at step 8, what is the perimeter? And 5 says explain how you found your answer. So if we had a step 8 somewhere in that table, which we don't, but we could definitely use the graph that we've created to make a educated guess about what the perimeter would be for step 8. We also have that formula to back us up, so we could figure it out that way as well. So now would be a great time to pause the video, see what you could do at the bottom of that page, and then I'll be back to share the correct response with you. So from here, you can see that we took the points from the table above. So when I had x was 1, my y value was 4, or the perimeter was 4. In step 2, the perimeter ended up being 6. So I turned that into an xy coordinate that I could then come over here and graph. 3 8, 4 10, and 5 12. How did I graph those? I go over 1, up 4, over 2, up 6, over 3, up 8, over 4, up 10, and over 5, up 12. At step 8, what is the perimeter? Again, if you were to connect these points, I'm going to do my best to draw a line here, okay? We would start, and we could run that line off our graph entirely. From here, you can see at step 8, I could follow my finger up my line or up my graph, and I could see that for step 8, my perimeter should be 18. I could also substitute. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 2 gives you that perimeter of 18. So using the rule that we established up in our math message, we could use that to check that our graph is placed according to where it should be with the other coordinates. Okay. I'm going to pause right here so I can flip to the next page. Be back in a second. So on page 332, you'll notice the title says Representations for a Growing Pattern. We're going to have you do 6, 7, 8, and 9 independently and submit it to us as a picture in Google Classroom for a score today. So you'll see step 1 makes a rhombus out of 4 other rhombuses. Step 2 then connects 2 rhombuses and they share that piece in the middle right here. Step 3, and then you are going to be responsible for A, says describe what you would do to make a figure for step 4. So see what changes. What do we add to each growing part of our pattern or to each growing step? Okay. B says complete the table that represents the number of rhombuses for each step in the pattern. So 1 is 4. For number 2, you can simply just go up and count how many are there, or notice how many you've added to each step and increase that number accordingly. Step 3, okay, how many rhombuses did we use to make that figure? C says record an equation that represents the rule for the number of rhombuses in each step. What you're going to do here after you have the number of rhombuses for step 1, 2, 3, and 4 is I want you to pay attention to what happens to our x value to get our y value. Okay, so for this first one, it looks like I add 3. But am I going to take 2 plus 3 to get the next number of rhombuses used? Okay, if addition doesn't work, you're going to think, do I need to multiply by something? Or do I need to multiply and then add something to that figure, okay, to figure out the number of rhombuses? So that's what we're going to have you try to do on your own. D says substitute one of your step values from the table to show that your rule works. So you're going to take your rule, you're going to substitute one of your step numbers in there, and you should come out with your Y value that would match up with that X value. Number 7, use the values in the table from problem 6b as the X and Y coordinates for points. So just like you did on the previous page, you're then going to list that X and Y. Okay, so for the first one, I would start with, okay, my coordinate would be 1, 4. Okay, then you're going to move on to what did you get for step 2? 2, and then what was the number of rhombuses that you used for that one? Here it says at step 10, how many rhombuses do you need? Explain how you could use the graph to find the number of rhombuses needed at step 10. Again, 2 different ways. You could use the line that you've drawn, okay? Follow your finger up at step 10. Again, it's not here, so you probably need to estimate, excuse me. Or you could pop it into the formula that you've come up, or for the equation that you've come up to figure out what happens to X to get that Y value, okay? If you need help, make sure you reach out to Mr. Zerga or myself. We're here to help. We're happy to help. We miss you all, and have fun with this. This is some serious algebra that you guys are getting into, and we're super proud of you. And I know it's not easy doing it on your own, but we believe that you got this. Go for it. See ya.